your life and performance coach, and welcome to the Actually You Can podcast. On this show, we discuss strategies for growth for ambitious individuals so you can spark and initiate your next evolution. You'll hear from inspiring guests who will share their journeys, challenges, and lessons learned. And I'll be sharing insights and actionable takeaways from my aligned results framework that will help you to align your goals, mindset, and strategies to reach your highest potential. Be sure to hit subscribe on whatever platform you're listening to so you can easily find this podcast again and stay updated with new episodes dropping every week. A subject I wanted to discuss on the show today is overwhelm. At the time of recording, it is mid-November and we are fast approaching the holiday season. The holidays are framed as the most wonderful time of year. And it's a lot of images of happy families exchanging gifts in matching sweaters in front of picture-perfect Christmas trees. And it can be awesome. But for some, the holiday season is also a build-up of stress and overwhelm. You've got projects to wrap up at work, Christmas parties to attend to, presents to buy, holidays to plan, Christmas decorations to put up if that's your thing. And even if you don't celebrate Christmas, you're likely impacted in some way by what can feel like the end-of-year rush. Beyond all that, the holidays are not always a joyful time for everyone. Financial stress, complicated family dynamics, and missed loved ones make it a hard time for many as well. So, what I wanted to share with you on the podcast today were some really practical tips that you can use over the holiday season to reduce your experience of overwhelm so you can make the holidays feel as joyful as possible. So the first step is to understand what is overwhelm. And are you experiencing legitimate overwhelm or a lifestyle overwhelm? In a nutshell, overwhelm is a manifestation of stress. It's an emotional state in which you are struggling to cope or deal with your current situation. This state is often characterized by feelings of being buried, inundated, swamped, overloaded, defeated. You get it, and you've likely experienced this before. These feelings are usually accompanied by issues of volume. For example, there is just simply too much going on to cope with, and the common phrase I hear from many of my clients and friends is that they feel there just aren't enough hours in the day to get everything done. And I believe there are two main types of overwhelm: legitimate overwhelm and lifestyle overwhelm. Legitimate overwhelm is, as it sounds, when you have a legitimate reason for feeling overwhelmed. Perhaps you've just had a child and you're feeling overwhelmed with the task of becoming a new parent. Perhaps you are caring for an elderly parent, perhaps you're moving across the country, you've just started a new business, or you have received a serious medical diagnosis. All of these are legitimate reasons to feel overwhelmed. Lifestyle overwhelm, on the other hand, is when you are actively choosing to put so much on your plate that it feels overwhelming. Perhaps you schedule 4 different catch-ups with friends on the weekend, or you say yes to every Christmas party and birthday, or it's even the little things like just yesterday. I had a 30-minute window between meeting friends, so I decided to squeeze a trip into Bunnings that ran a little bit longer than anticipated. So I actually ended up being 5 minutes late to meet my friend because I tried to squeeze that extra activity in and ended up causing myself stress. Lifestyle stress is something that we do to ourselves. For many of us, lifestyle stress occurs because we have an idea in our head of what we should be able to accomplish in a day, weekend, week, whatever it is. But in reality, the only things we should be focusing on are the things that are important to us. So the first step is to ask yourself, am I going through a period where I'm experiencing legitimate stress? Or have I created a life that feels stressful? The second step is to get clear on what is important to you at that period of time. So if you're going through a period of legitimate stress, keeping your newborn baby safe and well may be the most important thing to you. Perhaps spending time with your elderly parent is how you'd love to spend your time in this chapter of life as well. Or maybe you want to be working longer hours in your new business to ensure it builds up the momentum it needs to be successful. If you've got lifestyle overwhelm, on the other hand, consider your values and your goals. What is important to you? What are you wanting to work towards? Perhaps you want to improve your health and fitness and commit to a new training plan. Or build strong connections with your family and friends is most important to you. Whatever it is, you need to get clear on what is important to you. Even better, write it down and affirm it to yourself. And then allow that to be the most important thing to you. No one else can tell you what is important to you and what you should be prioritizing in your life. Only you can. And if you don't choose, the world will choose for you. So use this as a filter when wondering what commitments to say yes and which ones to say no to. So you know what type of overwhelm you're experiencing, you know what is important to you, and now it's about creating a life which aligns with just that. Before I move on to the next step, I want to remind you that overwhelm is an emotion. It's something that we experience within ourselves, and it's caused by our thoughts, not only our actions. So in saying that, the third step I would recommend is writing all of the thoughts down that are coming up in your mind when you think about being overwhelmed. Grab your journal or a piece of paper and list out everything that is going through your mind that is making you feel overwhelmed. The mere exercise of writing things out can help you to acknowledge the emotion, to get clear on what you're experiencing, and support you to reduce the mental load that you're carrying around. Keep writing until everything in your mind is out and trust whatever comes up is meant to come up. It might feel like you're word vomiting on a page, and that is completely fine. In fact, I encourage it. If you are experiencing legitimate overwhelm, then these thoughts may be about what is going on in your life at the moment and how you feel about it. If you're experiencing lifestyle overwhelm, it could look like writing down the list of 50,000 things you feel like you should or need to get done. What I can already hear people say, but Miff, I'm so overwhelmed, I don't have time to write things out. And you're listening to this podcast for a reason, and I encourage you to take this step and really write things out because it is going to help you to move through this feeling of overwhelm. As I mentioned before, the feeling of overwhelm is an emotion, and it's really important for us to acknowledge emotions and to move through them in a really resourceful way. And writing things down can help you do exactly that. So once you put your thoughts on paper or your to-do list on paper, then it's time to get into action as part of step 4. If you're experiencing legitimate overwhelm, then my suggestion would be to accept that this might not be your time right now. And trying to do all the things that you think you should be doing or starting to work on a new goal may not only detract from what you've identified as important to you, but it will also likely leave you feel overwhelmed, and the chances of you being successful with implementing these may be thin. For example, I'm not going to start a new exercise program next week when I know I'm traveling for 2 days, hosting an event, then traveling internationally for a week. Instead, what I would suggest is to anyone who is experiencing legitimate overwhelm is use any free time you have to look after you. Get as much sleep as you can. 7 to 9 hours is a great way to start. Eat nutritious whole foods. If you don't have time to cook for yourself, find a healthy meal delivery company. And make sure you continue to move your body. Even a 20 to 30-minute walk outside in the morning will do wonders for your mood and body. This is the time to double down on taking care of you, because at the end of the day, the newborn baby, the elderly parent, and your business are needing that from you too. If you're experiencing lifestyle overwhelm, then it's time to get brutally honest with where you're spending your time and why. Yes, it is perfectly okay to want to achieve all the things and have ambitious goals, but life is also to be lived and enjoyed, and you're not able to do that if you're constantly choosing to create a lifestyle of overwhelm for yourself. When you're thinking about the 50,000 things you need to do, it can feel overwhelming. In this case, I would commit to doing the 3 things I must do each day. That's it. Anything else is a bonus. And by must do, what I mean is asking yourself for each of the items on your list that you've just written out, will someone die or get seriously injured if I don't do this? Does it have to happen on this date? Or does it align with my goals or values I have identified earlier? Every day, pick 3 things from your list, highlight it in a beautiful color, and schedule them into your calendar for when you're going to do them that day. Because if they are must-dos and they are that important to you, then you need to make time to do them. I love using Google Calendar for this. And I can already hear some ambitious, driven listeners saying, Miff, 3 things a day is a fuck all. I know I can do way more than that. And the truth is, yes, you likely can. But if you could, and you could do it without feeling overwhelmed, then you probably wouldn't be listening to this podcast. If you could consistently do 3 things that were the must-dos or the things that were most important to you each day, then in the long term, you'd achieve far more than trying to do the 50,000 things in one day you don't end up doing anyway because you're feeling overwhelmed. What is seemingly slow progress is still progress. No one will die if you decide to skip the Christmas party because you had to hit a deadline for a project at work. Your friend will understand if you're unable to catch up for coffee on the weekend because what is more aligned for you to make use of that 1 hour you have free on a Saturday is to spend it reading a book and taking care of yourself. So the 4th step is deciding what action you're going to take. If you're experiencing legitimate overwhelm, then I would suggest prioritizing and taking action that promotes self-care. You are your greatest asset, and you need to be at your best, most thriving self to be resilient and get through this period for as long as required. On the other hand, if you're experiencing lifestyle overwhelm, then you need to get brutally honest about what you must do in a day. Identify the 3 things that you must do and schedule them in your calendar. And another note on scheduling is that I encourage everyone to understand what their energetic capacity is. And what I mean by that is that some people can work 8-hour days, have a second job on top of that, have social commitments, and they thrive off the energy of others or off the energy of doing. For other people, that sounds like their idea of hell. I know if someone said to me that they have 4 catch-ups with friends or 4 social events on a Saturday, I'm like, that is just not my jam. That would drain the hell out of me. My threshold for social activities or social engagements is probably 2 on a weekend day. And so everybody's capacity to engage in activities is different. When I mentioned scheduling before, I said pick out the 3 must-dos for the day. And for some people, the 3 things is going to be enough. For other people, they might be comfortably able to do more than that. And that's totally fine. If that's you, pick your 3, and then whatever you feel like you can do that day, commit to doing that too. So it's also to say that with scheduling and just in terms of what you can achieve in a day, everybody is different. It's not one size fits all. So stop comparing your capacity to achieve with someone else's. So there you have it. They are the 4 steps that I could recommend you take to ensure that you can manage your experience of overwhelm these holidays and actually enjoy the holiday period. I know it can be a stressful period for some for a number of different reasons, and I'm here to assure you that you have the ability to create whatever experience you hope for this holiday season. And note that not once during this podcast did I talk specifically about Christmas or the holiday season. And my reason for that is I truly believe that if you set up your strategy and set up your approach to overwhelm, then you'll be able to manage things like spending time with potentially difficult family members or manage the overwhelm of trying to choose between which Christmas party you should attend or what gifts to buy someone. I fundamentally believe that if you start at a more high level approach and consider the type of overwhelm and more importantly, what's important to you and what your focus is, if you let those elements be your filter for choosing which events you engage in, which people you expose yourself to, then you'll be in a much better place to set your holiday season up for success. And these strategies can not only help you thrive and enjoy the holiday season, but they can help you during any other season of life as well. And if you're looking to create a life that you love in 2024, then I have a special gift just for you. I've created a roadmap to unlock your full potential and create a life that feels richly aligned and oh so deeply fulfilling. It's also a condensed version of the process I guide my private coaching clients through. In this guide, I've created a tool to help you pinpoint the areas of life requiring the most energy to increase your overall life fulfillment in 2024. Goodbye, overwhelm. In addition, there are 40 questions you can ask yourself to help you to create a vision for your epic 2024. I have also provided the framework to guide you to create the recipe for your perfect day. And all of these steps are essential if you are going to bring your dream life into reality. So if you'd like to receive a copy of this guide, simply click the link in the show notes below and it will be in your hot little hands in a short moment. And if you have any questions about the process or anything that came up for you on the show today, I would love to hear from you. You can DM me at Miff Galloway on Instagram or get in contact with me via my website. Thank you again for joining me on today's show. Until next time, remember that actually you can. Thank you for joining me today for another episode of the Actually You Can podcast. I so enjoy having you here, and I hope you've taken away powerful insights and tools that will support you to achieve your high-level results. Now, before you go apply all of this wisdom in your life, I would be so grateful if you are able to leave us a podcast review on the platform that you're listening to, or share this episode with a friend. Your support means that we can help more self-led, high-performing individuals just like you expand what's possible for them. I'd also love to hear your thoughts on today's episode, so please go on and shoot me a note on socials and let me know what you think. You can find me on Instagram at Miff Galloway. Now, go ahead and make those dreams a reality, because actually, you can.